Hi, I'm Gareth Hollis, and this is part 3 of everything you never needed to know about me. And just a quick reminder of the trigger warning in case you've not seen the other videos. At some point, I will be talking about depression, about suicide, about assault. I'll give you a heads up on those, but I am using a random number generator to tell me what subject I'm going to be talking about at any one time. So I can't predict exactly when that's going to be. Okay, so first number for this one is number 5. Oh yeah, also bad language and tangents. Probably going to happen. Number 5 is places lived. So I was born in Leicester, which is in the Midlands in the UK. Somewhere I've always been quite fond of ever since. Probably best known at the moment for things like pork pies, Kasabian, football team that managed to win the Premier League at odds of 5,000 to 1. And obviously it's my birthplace. It's got to be quite famous for that by now, I'd have thought, even though no one knows who I am. Although if you're watching this video, then theoretically there must be some reason you're watching it. So when I was 15, we decided to move to Horncastle, which is in Lincolnshire. It's one of those local place for local people type places. So the reason behind that was my dad had recently got married to his third wife and decided that he wanted to start a business. Unfortunately, I don't quite get the logic. He decided to start a business doing something that he had no experience in. And well, although some of it, he wanted it to be a family business, something we could all get involved with. And in that way, it worked. However, as a business idea, it didn't go down that well. It went great, well, with tourists, but not so much with the locals, because we weren't local, I think, primarily. When I was 18, then me and a friend decided to move down to Torquay on the south coast in Devon. So we'd both got girlfriends in Devon. I can't remember exactly how it turned out. In fact, one of my other friends, his cousin was from there, and she'd come up visiting, and then my friend had then ended up going out with her, and then I ended up going out with a friend, and then we both decided at 18, yeah, let's move down to Devon. And I have to say, Torquay, absolutely beautiful place. I loved it for the short period of time I was there. I was living with my girlfriend's family. Well, we were both living with my girlfriend's family at the time. She was putting us up in return for some board. So there was her mum, my girlfriend, and her 2 younger sisters, and then my friend. And we're all living there until circumstances meant that we couldn't anymore. That's a different video, so a different subject, so I'll talk about that separately. So after the short period of time when I had to move, I then decided I didn't want to go back to Horncastle. Went to Leicester, and I stayed with my grandparents for a bit. And my grandparents live in Thurmaston, which is on the outskirts, on the Melton Mowbray side. And next door to my grandparents, it's a semi-detached bungalow, and next door was owned by my aunt and uncle, who actually own both now, I think. Although they weren't there a lot of the time, my cousin was. My cousin's a few years older than me, and we became almost like best friends, like brother and sister. We were always spending time together, always going out drinking together. It was her who persuaded me to start working at McDonald's, and then she left just before I started, which was nice of her. And then I came up, it was for Christmas, went back home and ended up meeting someone, and decided there and then I was going to move back to Horncastle. And I stayed with her for about 1.5 years until I did something I regret. And I actually wrote one of the songs is about that. Unfortunately, I was visiting a friend, and I ended up like kind of cheating on her, not fully, but enough that I felt guilty enough and thought, well, obviously, if I'm prepared to do that, then maybe I don't love her as much as I thought I did. And told her, and we split up, and one of those things that who knows what might have been. When I tried to win her back, it didn't happen. And yeah, love lost. So in fact, it was just after that, the next part, where I went up for a friend's birthday, the same friend whose cousin lived in Devon, coincidentally. And I was the only one who actually went up for it. And he was quite overcome with emotion. And then later in the night, having had a few drinks, he said to me, like, yeah, you've just split with your girlfriend, you've just walked out on your job. I can't remember the ins and out of that anymore. It's like, why don't you've got nothing really to go back for, why don't you stay up here for a bit? So I started sleeping on his sofa. I got a job up there, and in the end I ended up living in the house. Well, he moved out before I did. I was still sleeping on the sofa at that point, and then when he moved, I then found alternative accommodation and carried on staying in Hull. Again, Hull's a nice place, city of culture, it's East Riding of Yorkshire, and I liked it. A lot of people don't have many nice things to say about Hull, but I have to say I really enjoyed my time there. After that, I moved back to Horncastle. The reasoning behind that was what I was doing at the time. I didn't think I was making enough money to make it viable. It was only when I then did my self-assessment tax return later on I realised I was actually been a lot more successful than I realised. But I'd moved back because I thought what I wanted to do was start paying off my debt. Again, debt is another topic, so I'm not going to go into that too much at the moment. But I moved back in with my dad, started living rent-free. Previously when I'd lived there, I'd always been paying board. Not a massive amount, but enough that I wasn't sponging at least. And he decided to knock that on the head so I could start trying to get this debt paid off. And it was at that time then that I started doing the army application and started basic training. Shortly after that, it was there that I met my wife, who was born and bred in Horncastle. And in fact, her whole family still live in Horncastle, within walking distance of each other. After joining the army, I went down to Phase 2 training, which was in Blandford in Dorset. It was okay. I should have been living on camp. Unfortunately, they didn't have enough houses, and we ended up having to live off camp, which put a strain on the relationship because it took 3 months to actually get a quarter. And in that time, I was having to commute back to Lincolnshire to see her each weekend. And she did not deal well with that. She has problems with anxiety and depression, and it really wasn't helping. It also meant we were having to pay, when we did get the house, we're paying more for it than we would have paid if we were living on camp. So that put financial strain on us as well. The plus side of that was that when we did go to when I got my first posting and I went to Germany and getting full pay then, and I was getting living overseas allowance, it seemed a lot. Oh, and obviously I was living on camp then as well, so the rent was cheaper. Noticed such a financial surge then compared to what I would have done if I'd been actually living well beforehand. So it wasn't all bad, and we lived in Germany in a place near the Dutch border, so near, I've got the name of it now. No, completely forgotten the name of the place in Holland we lived near. So in Germany, it was a place called Bruggen. It was near Mönchengladbach, that sort of area. And at some point, I'm just going to remember the name of that place in Holland and shout it out. So be prepared for that at some point. Absolutely love Germany. I kind of wish I'd never left. There wasn't much I missed about being in the UK, in fairness. Places where I knew where I could get the car fixed cheaply, and car boot sales, and obviously family. I think that was about it. There wasn't much that the UK had to offer that Germany didn't. Also, autobahns, amazing. Yeah, especially if you're into cars, being able to get on what is essentially the motorway and just go as fast as you want without worrying about getting caught speeding. Brilliant idea, and I never actually saw any accidents there either. And I think it also discourages speeding, because if you know that you're shortly going to be coming onto a road where you can go however fast you want to, then why would you risk speeding in a 30-mile-an-hour limit and getting caught and getting a fine or points on your license? There's no logic to it. You may as well wait until it's safe and legal to go on the autobahn. So I don't know if people did get caught speeding a lot. And I say, considering people were driving a lot faster, because everyone was driving faster, I never saw any accidents. So I'm sure there were some, and if they were probably more horrific than in the UK. But anyway, that's one of the tangents. So after I left Germany, went to Chicksands, which is in Bedfordshire. That's where I was learning Arabic, and then from there I ended up back in Lincolnshire, not Horncastle, but not a million miles away. We're probably about half an hour from where I spent a good chunk of my life up until this point. So that's what brings me to where I am now, which is sat on my driveway in a caravan with a bottle of cider, actually, which I forgot about. This is Old Rosie, still cider, flat cider, whatever you want to call it. Great stuff. So yeah, that's what brings me to where I am now, and I think I've exhausted that subject for now. So next one, 21. Hopefully a nice short one. Top 3 films. So what I've got here is Gone in 60 Seconds, the Nicolas Cage version. I do like the original one as well, and I love the concept of it. It's the sort of thing that Gone in 60 Seconds, it could go a long way to making people think actually a life of crime, there's some benefits to it. In fact, yeah, this is a tangent I don't think I want to go down actually. If you're into cars, great film. And talking of cars, the next one I put down was Too Fast, Too Furious, the second in the Fast and Furious franchise. One of those where I thought actually I prefer that to the original one, prefer the sequel. However, I crossed that one out and I put Zombieland instead. I love comedy. I like the whole zombie genre. I've got a VW camper which I got as covered in zombie outbreak response unit stickers. Although actually at the moment it's been resprayed, and then it's going to get sign writing with Umbrella Corporation on it instead from Resident Evil. So keeping with the zombie theme, just changing it up a bit. And what's not to love about Zombieland? It's one of those films, and this is actually what my criteria was for top 3 films. It's not the best films or anything like that. It's films that I will watch again and again and again and never get bored of. Which brings me on to the third one, which is Deadpool. I mean, who doesn't love Deadpool? In fact, actually, a bit of a man crush, Ryan Reynolds. Anything he's in is just better for it. I think he should be in every film, actually. It'd make things a lot easier. And if there's ever a film made about me, Ryan Reynolds, if you want to play me, feel free. We are nothing alike at all. You've got that Canadian accent and like good looking and stuff, but I think it could work. Special mention, Borat. For no other reason than I went to the cinema and having watched the Ali G movie. Actually, I was misremembering that. That was something else I was thinking of. I was actually thinking of Shaun of the Dead for some reason. So went to see Borat, something that didn't really know what to expect, and I went with my wife, and we ended up, our faces, well, certainly my face, was actually physically in pain from laughing so much. So I just thought it deserved, pardon me, it deserved a special mention just for that. So nice short one, that one. Oh, well, we're up to 15 minutes, so that seems like a good place to stop before I make these videos too long. So thank you for watching. I hope you've learned something. It's difficult because I don't really know what I'm teaching, but I hope you've enjoyed it. Please watch the next video in the playlist. Please feel free to subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you again.